All right, let's dive in. Today, we're stepping off the well-trodden path and into a pretty dark psychological landscape. Just a heads up, this is not your typical story of heroes climbing mountains. Think of this more like a graphic novel-style journey into the shadows of the self, into a place called the Uncanny Forest. So, our story kicks off with the arrival of this mysterious figure. And he's not a guide, he's a disruptor. The source material calls him the truth-telling monster, a wanderer whose very presence is like an earthquake for anyone living in a world of comfortable illusions of, quote, celestial ghosts. His whole purpose? It's to shatter the foundation of everything you think you know. And this really gets to the heart of our journey today. I mean, we're always told to think of progress as this upward climb, right? Reaching for the stars. But what if real wisdom, real power, is actually found by looking down? By digging into the raw, messy soil of existence? That's the inverted journey we're about to take. So, where does a journey like this even begin? Well, it starts in what the source material calls the kingdom of glass masks. Just picture a society that's built on performance, where everybody wears these polite scripts like armor, and they sing these hollow hymns just to keep a fragile peace. It's a world that feels certain, but just beneath that polished surface, it's completely brittle and empty. And here you can really see the two worlds laid bare. On one side, you've got the kingdom, with its comforting celestial ghosts and its golden compass always pointing up. And on the other, you have the forest. It's defined by the hard iron of existence and the downward pull of the dark soil. We're literally leaving a world of polite armor for the total nakedness of truth. And now we cross the threshold. Entering the uncanny forest isn't like stepping into a national park. It's a psychic shift. All the rules of the kingdom, they just don't apply anymore. In here, you're confronted with a reflection of yourself, and it's raw, it's unvarnished, and you absolutely cannot escape it. Let's be clear, this forest isn't some physical place on a map. It's a liminal zone, a state of being where the familiar world gets twisted just strange enough to make you confront all the parts of yourself and reality that you've been trying so hard to avoid. Oh, and you're not alone in here. You're going to meet a whole cast of archetypical figures. There's the monster who brought you here, the one who shatters your world. Then there's the holy fool, who's already ditched his mask and is just dancing in freedom. You have the jester, watching it all from above. And finally, the verdant dragon, a spirit of pure negation. So how exactly does the forest reveal all these hard truths? Well, it's not through direct lectures or some blinding revelation. It uses this really clever method the sources call the geometry of the grotesque. It's a way of letting truth in sideways, so it can bypass all the defenses your conscious mind has spent a lifetime building. See, it's not a sledgehammer, it's more like a specific wavelength. It's a form of truth that doesn't just attack you head-on. Instead, it kind of bends around your armor, seeping into the darkest, most complicated corners of who you really are. Think about it like this. The star represents that blinding ideal of societal perfection. It's so bright that you instinctively put on armor to protect yourself. But the grotesque, it doesn't try to outshine the star. Instead, it catches that light and redirects it, using it to illuminate your shadow self, the parts you keep hidden, even from yourself. It completely bypasses the mind's usual defenses. And the entity overseeing this whole process? That's the verdant dragon. It's described as the spirit of negation, the force that just says no. But it's not simply destructive. It's that necessary discomfort, the ember of the earth, that literally keeps your soul from falling asleep in complacency. It's like a cosmic alarm clock that you just can't hit snooze on. Okay, so this all leads us to the core trial of the forest, the inverted journey. This is a deliberate descent through everything society calls failure. You're not climbing some ladder to success. You're digging down to find something more solid. Something real. You're seeking the iron of existence. And the command from the truth-telling monster is so simple, so direct. Look down. Forget the golden compass that points to some metaphysical ideal up in the clouds. The answers aren't up there. They're in the dark soil, in the grit of reality, where the blood of your ancestors is feeding the roots of who you are right now. So what's the biggest obstacle on this downward path? It's something the source calls ignoble knowledge. It's that moment, and we've all had them, when you know a deep, fundamental truth about yourself, but you actively choose to ignore it. You choose a theology of comfort over a difficult reality. It is maybe the most profound form of self-deception there is. Confronting that ignoble knowledge is, well, it's an ordeal. The source material describes it as the 10,000 hells. Just imagine, for a second, being forced to see every single lie you have ever told yourself, all at once, with perfect, agonizing clarity. That is the fire this traveler has to walk through. But here's the thing. For those who can endure that agony, a really profound transformation happens. You don't just survive the forest. You come out as something new. You become a sovereign of the soil, someone who's capable of creating something truly beautiful from the chaos you've just confronted. And the first part of this change is just a fundamental shift in posture. You stop being a beggar of the stars. You're no longer looking outside of yourself for validation or for meaning or for permission to be who you are. All that dependency just gets burned away in those 10,000 hells. And in its place, a totally new identity is forged. You become a sovereign of the soil. You're grounded, you're powerful, you're self-sufficient. You're not a subject in someone else's kingdom anymore. You are the ruler of your own reality, drawing all your strength from the earth right beneath your feet. And what does this sovereignty actually look like in practice? It looks like the holy fool dancing with this sovereign lightness on top of the shattered remains of all those old glass masks. There's no bitterness there. There's just this profound freedom and what's called a great health, which is born from embracing the whole messy truth of who you are. So the journey doesn't end with a comforting lie. It ends with a harsh truth. The iron of existence, that difficult, unyielding reality of life, is finally accepted. Not as a burden, but as the final and in its own way, terrifyingly beautiful truth. That is the mark of the self-overcomer. Which really leaves us with one last provocative question to think about. This whole journey is about shattering the masks that we all wear. So, if you were to let yours fall, if you were to really face the chaos inside, what new dancing star could you give birth to?